All right, let's talk about one of the most stressful parts of selling your home. I'm talking about that huge, nerve-wracking gap between when you think your house is sold and when the money is actually in the bank. Today, we're going to reset some of those expectations and look at what the journey to closing really looks like.
So let's just dive right in, shall we? You've accepted an offer. You've shaken hands. Maybe you've even popped the champagne. Your house is sold, right? Done deal. Well, that's what almost everyone thinks. But the reality? It's, it's a lot more complicated. That moment of celebration is actually just the starting gun.
Okay, so to really get our heads around why so many deals are hitting a snag, we first need to look at the ideal path. Let's map out the journey that every seller hopes they're going on. This is the textbook version, the way it works on TV. This right here is the dream timeline. First, you spend a couple of weeks getting the house ready. Then it's on the market, maybe for a few days, maybe a few months. Once you accept an offer, boom, you hit the inspection phase, which is usually about a week to 10 days. And then comes the longest stretch, 30 to 60 days for all the financing and paperwork to get sorted out for closing. This is the smooth ride everyone hopes for.
That nice, straight line often has some serious, unexpected roadblocks. This is where things get real. It's the part of the process that sellers are often totally unprepared for, where the dream of a smooth sale meets a much messier reality. And look, this isn't just some abstract national headline. Let's bring it right down to a local level. In a market like Massachusetts, for instance, the numbers are still huge. We're talking about a quarter to nearly a third of all accepted offers, poof, gone. So what that means is that even in a specific busy market, about 1 in every 4 deals doesn't make it to the finish line. If this happens to you, it's incredibly frustrating, for sure. But it's so important to know you are not alone. It's kind of become a built-in risk of the market these days.
So why? What are the big deal killers? Well, this chart lays out the two main culprits perfectly. Almost half of failed deals, 45%, are because of mortgage financing problems. A buyer's pre-approval is a great start, but it's not a guarantee. If their finances change, maybe they buy a new car, whatever, the final loan can get denied. The second biggest hurdle, at 36%, is the inspection. Surprise issues pop up, negotiations get tough, and the whole thing can just fall apart.
And it's so important to remember this. It's easy to get lost in the numbers, but behind every one of these contracts are real people with real lives and real emotions. A home sale is this incredibly personal, high-stakes event. And this quote just nails it. It's a complex dance between humans, a whole lot of money, and very real risk.
Okay, enough doom and gloom. Let's talk about solutions. Because the good news is, you are not powerless here. There are absolutely things both sellers and buyers can do to protect the deal and seriously increase the odds of a smooth closing. So, how do you play defense? Pricing realistically is also key to avoid any appraisal issues down the line. Now, for buyers, getting a rock-solid, fully underwritten pre-approval is just non-negotiable. And for everyone involved, you've got to understand every single deadline and contingency. Those are the get-out-of-jail-free clauses in the contract. Think of these as your armor against the very things that cause deals to collapse. So, when you boil it all down, what's the big takeaway here? It really comes down to a fundamental shift in your mindset. You have to stop thinking of selling your home as a short sprint to that accepted offer and start seeing it for what it truly is, a marathon that requires strategy and stamina all the way to the finish line. And I absolutely love this quote because it just nails that new mindset. Preparation is not lost time, it's risk management. Every hour you spend cleaning, every dollar you spend on a small repair or that pre-inspection, that's not a delay. That is an investment. You are actively managing risk to make sure your deal is one of the ones that actually makes it across the finish line. So this is where we all start, right? The common expectation. A simple, clean, straight line from putting your house up for sale to handing over the keys. It's a nice idea, but as we've seen, it's a dangerously incomplete picture. The reality, well, it's much more of a journey. It's got potential twists and turns and bumps in the road, and that doesn't have to be a scary thing. But it does demand a totally different approach, one built on patience, being proactive, and really understanding the whole process, not just the exciting beginning. So I'll just leave you with this question to chew on. When you decide to sell, are you just focused on the destination, that sold sign, or are you truly prepared for the entire journey it takes to get there? Because in today's market, that preparation, well, it makes all the difference in the world.